Hello and welcome to Bradford Litfest. My name is Joelle Taylor and I'm a poet, author and playwright. I write books, I lead workshops in schools, universities, prisons, and I also tour internationally. But the thing that I'm probably best known for is that I founded the National Youth Slam Championships of the UK through the Poetry Society, called Slambassadors. And from 2001 to 2018, I was its artistic director. Over that time, I've worked with thousands of young people in an effort to help them reclaim their voices and provide platforms for which they can speak on. Slam poetry is the competitive art of performance poetry, spoken word, rapping or MCing with or without beatbox, and it's performed in front of a very loud, very lively audience, more in common with a football match than with a traditional poetry reading. I'm now going to perform a poem for you. It's called The Correct Spelling of My Name, and it's about the young people I work with over those years, the Slambassadors. You, who write revolutionary symphonies from beneath your single bed. You who type masterpieces on back alley blackberries that will never be read. You who has never listened to a single word you have said, who stopped listening to yourself years ago at the same time your elders did. You with the eyes of sniper slits, you with mouths of trenches. You whose friends are skinny grey birds gathered around broken park benches, pecking at breadcrumbs of ice. You whose hollow bones whistle with the other songs, who bought the right shoes but will never belong. You the stiff-tongued, you the mistimed, you the offbeat, you the hurricane-eyed, you pacifist soldiers. You small girls folded into whispering corners, you quiet warriors, furious tomorrows. You with scrubbed-out lips and eyes that are afraid to close. You whose body would not fit into prescribed clothes, irrespective of your size. You switch skin. You survivor of the gender side, you counters of the abacus of stars, you shine eyes, you exploding hearts, you whose mouths are scars. You healing tongues, you who understands two wrongs, will never make a righter, you freedom fighter, Saturday night survivor, long distance smiler. And you who found your dream but could not spell it. Who sat at the back of the class deciphering whiteboard hieroglyphics, you freestyling dyslexics, council estate prophets, urban mystics who publish poems on street corners from the printing press of your lips, whose eyes when cornered are a total eclipse, you who only learned in school that you were stupid, that your name was could do better, you who must work harder, and you who retreats to the far corners of the cave of your hood, who learn to beatbox by following the pattern of fist against skin through a closed bedroom door. You are loved, even you, with eyes of television static, who practices your heartbeat on split lips as soft and ripped as inner sleeve lyrics, you magical misfit, stuttering in the shadows of the playground, muttering a hidden language, you for whom the streets are your heritage, you who tattooed poetry against sediment skin of tenement buildings, you who never asked, who never questioned, for fear of not knowing, for fear of rejection, and you, quiet eye of the classroom storm, who wait most of your life just to be born, who crouches in the corner of the club, proof marking your body, you who was raised in captivity, who spits on the rusting links of your parents' economic slavery, you rocking boy, you flickering girl, who traces a map of an undiscovered world on your inner arm. How can they call it self-harm? You who seek your identity at darkened parties in the clouded faces of strangers. You who traces your ancestry with broken fingers, you beautiful believers, courageous care leavers. You who was once lynched from a branch of your own family tree. You whose anger is hereditary, whose smile is a flashing blade, whose weakness is brave, whose eyes are shallow graves in which each of your parents are buried. See, I lost my family in the supermarket, at the checkout, or was it the chill out? Or was it the skinny walk home, you, who is a poem you're afraid no one will read? Believe you are not a mark on a piece of paper. You are a prayer. All of you who see a difficult sun when you close your eyes, rise. You have found your tribe. Slam poetry came about as the voice of the marginalised, of those peoples who couldn't find themselves reflected in books or even at readings. It was a way of us taking the stage, writing the books that we wanted to read. So the poetry is kind of political. It's very personal, but it's very political in the kind of things it wants to deal with. So typically on a slam stage, people use their 3 minutes, and you only get 3 minutes. They use it to do something. Poetry as a way of changing something, as raising awareness and of transforming the lives, not just of the poet on stage, but their whole community. In order to do that, we've got to find out a little bit more about yourself. So I'm going to lead you through some exercises that really help you to warm up and understand yourself better. The first thing you need to do is to run and grab any book. Doesn't matter what it is. It can be poetry, a novel, it can be a textbook of some kind. Open it at random and then go down the page and select the 9th line. Just go down. Write that line down on a piece of paper. This now becomes the first line in a brand new poem you're going to write. This is a great warm-up, and I'm going to add a bit of pressure on you. It's a great warm-up because it doesn't allow you to worry too much about what you're writing. You're only going to get 5 minutes to write an 8-line poem. Poetry is cinema and your pen is a camera. Allow that first line to possess you. Where are you going to go? Is it going to be an imaginative piece? Find out what happens. The most important thing of a writer, whether you're going to perform or not, is not knowing what you're going to write. That's okay. That's where brilliant ideas come from. The second exercise we're going to look at is a pretty well-known one. It's not my own exercise, and it's called the furniture game. You may have played it before. It doesn't matter how old you are. This game is a really great way of getting yourself into thinking about yourself. And it's a wonderful way to create really quick, easy metaphors. So what you have to do is think about yourself. Think about yourself either now, or perhaps if you wanted to write about a time when you were more vulnerable, think about yourself then. If you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be? So don't just write down, I am a stoat. What you have to do is figure out what kind of animal symbolises your personality or symbolises the situation you were in. For example, myself, I would be a skinny white wolf howling on top of a tower block. So see the animal, think about what it looks like and what everything means. The colour of the eyes will mean something. Colour of fur or feathers means something. And also, where are they? You might have a lion somewhere really strange, like in a library, in this kind of setting. So, first question, if you were an animal, what animal would you be? I am a. The second question, if you were a colour, what colour would you be? And again, as much detail as possible, tell me the red of whatever it is. And try to be imaginative with that as well. It's so easy to say as red as blood. Have a good look around. What else could that red be? Animal, colour. If you were a musical instrument, what kind of musical instrument would you be? If I said you were a violin with a snapped string, what would that mean? How about you're the whole orchestra? How about you're an instrument played somewhere spectacular, like a grand piano at the bottom of the ocean? Your next one, let's see. If you were a weather system, what kind of weather would you be? And what would it mean? And your final one, if you were a word, what word would you be? You're going to go through all these questions, keep replaying it, just to remind yourself what they are. And if you can think of any other things you can compare yourself to, that's really great. So each of your lines will be, I am a, And just follow your pen. It's like a little dog. The nose of the pen is sniffing out the poem. It knows where to go, and keep remembering that poetry's cinema. So show us, the pen is a camera. Take us into these pictures. So now you've begun to understand yourself a little bit more, and you've started to develop those metaphors, and they are at the core of everything you write as a spoken word artist, as a slam poet. Because when you're on stage performing to an audience, remember, they can't go back over what you've just said, but they will remember the images you give them. So here's another exercise that helps you to explore images. Now remember what an image is. It's not just the pictures in a poem or a piece of work. It's all the senses, so how things smell, what they feel like when you touch them. It makes a piece really rich and helps an audience to hang on to what you're talking about. So you're going to get a piece of paper, A4 like this, and hold it landscape. At the top, you're going to write down these 5 headings, just like I've got it there. The first one is association. The second is detail and verb. The third is shade. The fourth, feeling. And the fifth, animal. So have that along the top of the paper. Once you've got that, I want you to think of an issue that you really want to talk about. Remember, in slam poetry, you get 3 minutes to change the world. So whatever you write is going to be epic, because you need to get as much information into those 3 minutes, the whole journey, sometimes a whole life, into those moments. So you need to choose the subject you really, really want to talk about. I'm just going to talk a little bit about class. That's my subject, class. And more specifically about being working class. So now I've got my subject. I want you to write down 5 things you associate with your subject. So with me, for class, I've written fast clothing, fast food, queuing, community, and accent. And you write those down under the association heading. Next to it, in the column that says detail and verb, let's go to the first one, fast clothing, or whatever you've written down. I've written, for my detail, children sewing. The reason I said that is because when I think about fast clothing, I think about kids in Bangkok basements sewing. So I've got that picture in my mind. Children sewing, and my verb is well, it's sewing, but I've also got an idea of electricity. In the shade bit, I've got bright basement and a hum, because I'm thinking of those lights that hum when you're underneath them. I'm thinking of nighttime, and the feeling is pensive. My final thing is animal. When I think of those children in the basement sewing, what kind of animal do I think they are? And I've written here, kingfisher. So get as many different answers as you can together. On my fast food one, I've got, under detail and verb, burgers, obviously. With that, I've got flipping, then I've got plastic bread. Shade, we're back to that fluorescent light, and flat pack music, I've written down. Flat pack music for a bit of atmosphere. And the feeling is pacified, and the animal, a roadside scavenger. So go all the way down until you get a full page of work. Once you've done that, the fun begins. Give yourself maybe 10-15 minutes to fill out this chart. Again, you're thinking instinctively the big pictures. What you do is you look along your chart for your first line. So looking along my chart, let me hold this up again for you to have a good look at. By moving these words around, I get electric children hum. So what I do is take the best words and the best ideas from the first line and put them together. Electric children hum, sewing themselves to brightly lit basements, kingfishers of the slum, we flip our faces on burger stalls. So that's how you do it. Have some fun going through your grid, see if you can make up the sentences, and see again where the pen takes you, where it wants to take you, and try not to fight it. Good luck. The next exercise is all about elevating the ordinary and connecting with your community. And it's a kind of poem we call the praise poem. It originated in West Africa, specifically in Nigeria, as a way of connecting young people with their ancestors, with the history of the land, with the stories of the community. So what you have to do now, again, is not just thinking about yourself, but your community. What community do you identify with? Is it your neighborhood? Is it something more to do with your sexuality? What is your community? Having thought about that, I want you to write down 5 things that you and your community love to do. Just 5 things. It might be going shopping. It might be going for long walks. It might be playing on computer. But give as much detail as possible. 5 things your community love to do. Once you've done that, think about 5 things, places that you love to go to with your friends. 5 places you love to go to. Now think about what the music of your community is. What does it sound like? It's a specific. So in the East End of London, where I live, grime music's really, really big, or was originally. What kind of music do you associate with your community? Equally, is there a kind of food you associate with your community? Is it some kind of food that you only ever eat when you're all together? Is it the way you eat food? Now, this can be something to do with heritage, or it can be as simple as going to get a burger in a fast food stall. Something to do with food. And when you've gathered all that information together, remember the bones of every poem are these little lists, these brainstorms you make. Once you've got those lists together, I want you to write down as many different words that you would use to praise something. Often these are religious, so the words and the phrases are things like glory be to, praise, blessings upon. And how you construct the poem is you begin with a phrase like glory be to, and then go through the poem list to see which areas. And it has an extraordinary impact, being able to glory be to KFC. Praise be walking through the Arndale Centre at midnight, and you can really try to elevate a sense of who the community is and your space within it, because remember, in slam poetry, it is all about you. It's the lyric poem, the pronoun I. So have fun with doing that. So once you've got pieces together and you've worked on them, remember, writing is the heart of everything you do. You're through to the final stage, which is performance. And remember, all of this is a very simple formula. Research, write, rehearse, perform. Research, write, rehearse, perform. The key to performance in spoken word and in slam poetry is that it is not acting. So you don't ever give a theatrical performance. It's kind of impersonating yourself. So it's real. When you get on stage, you re-enter the world of your poem and you let it flow through you until it becomes a part of your body. You inhabit the poem. In order to do that, you must memorize the poem first. And I'm afraid to say there are no easy ways of doing that. You literally do it line by line. I walk a lot to help me get into the rhythm of the piece. Some people might record it on their phones and play it back to themselves over music. Whatever it takes, you must learn it the hard way, the analog way. And then you get onto the stage. Writing is an act of courage, but performing is a revolution. Once you get onto that stage, you learn a lot about yourself. And maybe for the first time in your life, like it was with me, you find everybody is silent and they listen. And then immediately when you've finished, it's like alchemy. People come together. And that is the heart of slam poetry.